Welcome back to Mom Interrupted. Today's episode is one that feels incredibly close to home. I'm joined by Deborah and Jason, two parents that actually met at a public dialogue about strollers and buses. That session only happened because Deborah used her platform to speak up about the friction of navigating this city with young children, and it sparked a conversation that needed to happen. Today, we're zooming out. We're all living in the thick of it, raising young kids between the ages of 1 and 4, while simultaneously watching our own parents enter a new phase of aging. It's 2026 and Singapore has officially become a super age society, meaning 20% of the population is over 65. For our generation, the sandwich isn't just a metaphor, it's a daily reality. We are caught between rising costs, the pressure of the Singapore dream, and a very loud public debate. Are millennial parents in Singapore truly overlooked by the system, or have we just become more entitled than the generations before us? Deborah, Jason, thanks very much for being here. Before we get into the heavy stuff, in a typical week for you right now, when you're not recording a podcast, where is your headspace?
I wear a lot of hats. When I'm not working part-time, I'm looking after my daughter. Both my parents and my in-laws, they are very much actively doing their own thing. My in-laws have just one saying for me and my husband: you do you, just don't create trouble for us.
Oh.
So they are very chill. They are so chill. In fact, they told us, we're not celebrating CNY, we're going on a cruise. My in-laws are very not protocol kind of people. It's not that they don't care, but they don't care about protocol. They're not into traditions for the sake of being tradition. I think to them, their idea is just be a respectful human, and they live off mutual respect. So I have to credit my father-in-law especially and my mother-in-law for being very much green flag in-laws. I know a lot of people have struggles with their in-laws in terms of parenting styles and all that. But my father-in-law has always been somebody that he will actually help me to push back. Like he will tell sometimes his siblings or other people that, look, at the end of the day, right, you play with the child and you return it to the parent, but the parent's responsible for any fallout or any decisions that are made. So it doesn't matter if you understand, you don't understand, or you agree or disagree, but you need to know that this is that parent's boundaries and you have to respect that. He'll be very forthcoming to tell us that sometimes I don't agree with certain things that you feel strongly about, but I understand that this is your boundary and I'll respect that.
But then I also want to add on. So for my side, right, I actually have 3 sets of grandparents.
Okay, wow.
Right, because there's a divorce and remarriage, right? So the biggest issue is we have to kind of manage 3 sets of different expectations and make sure they understand that there's only one core decision maker, which is the parents, which is us, that whatever we say should be the only way that they should do things. So for example, there was this incident where we were out with my in-laws, right? We were supposed to move from destination A to B. Myself and my wife, right, Fraser, we were away. So we left the kid with my in-law. Right? So somehow, they just took the kid and then said, hey, let's go. We need to move over to destination B already. And they just moved over without us. So we thought, you never even ask us whether or not we are comfortable with it. So you're taking the child away and you're going to meet more people. There's going to be a lot of anxiety or whatever that the kid can face, right? And then the parents are not there. So it kind of make it feel like, hey, you're taking your grandchild as if it's your own child. And then they implement their own set of things that they think is good for the child without consulting us. And then end up, when they go out, when they come home, we are the ones that have to settle every other day. And the big time, as a toddler, right, 1 year old, they don't know what is what. So when they come home, all they know is, I want to sleep. When you need to shower, they don't care. They're just going to start crying. So obviously, grandparents, yes, they are there to take care of them, to have fun. But there has to be some sort of a rule or direction that they need to follow from the parents so that they don't bring them into how they groom their own child.
Oh, I think they just can't relate. So I'll give you an example. One of the recent conflicts that we had was over photographs, actually. Okay, so I'm a content creator. I do post content about me and my family life online. But I stopped short of putting full frontal visuals of my child on social media. It's usually side profile, top down, basically things that is not full frontal, right? My in-laws went out and then they were shopping and then they started getting into the claw game, catching all the soft toys and stuff. And then they got really carried away. They come back with like 6, 7 like huge giant plushies. I'm like, whoa. Yeah, so they had a lot of fun. But I think what happened is that apparently there's a claw game policy where if you win, you got to take a picture with your winnings. And I guess what the shop may not have told them is that all these pictures go out on social media.
No consent.
So they you know, like the older generation, to be fair to them, they don't know any better. They just like, oh, take picture, like evidence, that kind of thing. So they took the photo. It ended up on the shop's socials. They could tell I was very upset. So I went to ask around, and it turns out it was taken by the store, and then they had a copy of the photo. Obviously, it's too late already, right? So I just like cooled down a little bit, and I said, just in future, if things like that happen, I'm okay with the photo, just don't take a full frontal shot. I'm not comfortable with that. So apparently, like later on, then I found out that it was a big hoo-ha in that generation of older people. It never filtered down to me because my father-in-law actually buffered. When we were on holiday, then he was just kind of like talking to me in a very level-headed way. You know, actually back then when this thing happened, you know, behind the scenes, all this drama was going down, and some of them were not too happy.
What were they not happy about? That
They
can't take photo, or
I think they didn't understand why. They felt I was very uptight. From day one, I set certain boundaries that I was very emphatic about. But some of the things that I talk about is very today relevant. It's not relevant
to them
40
back
years
then.
ago.
Yeah.
So to be fair, I can understand why they think I'm being like kind of like psychotic about it. But I did explain it to my father-in-law. I said in today's day and age, things are very much different. And he admitted he doesn't understand. He thinks that I'm being quite overworked, like I'm being
Like,
overly concerned about it.
Yeah.
But he also said that times have changed. He may not understand, but he will respect. So I really appreciated that we managed to kind of bridge this middle ground. It's not even because of understanding, it's just because of mutual respect of boundaries.
I don't know whether, yes, times have changed, the dangers of the internet, but whether they would also care enough back then. So what I'm trying to say is that, do they just have a more relaxed stance on a lot of things in general, irrespective of whether it is the dangers of now or then? Or are they just lacking of information and awareness of how bad it can be now?
I would say millennials typically, we're the ones that went through all this non-tech into tech and then tech advancement. So we see the entire change in the digital era. We see how things are manipulated. We see how things are being changed overnight, that it can become a internet
Something
sensation.
else completely.
Yeah, so, but then for parents-wise, or the grandparents, they have been the newspaper generation.
Yeah.
Whatever they can see, they can touch, they know.
Kind of fat also, right? And
Yeah.
newspaper is a very one source.
Correct. It's always a top-down single way of
It's a very
communication.
nuanced topic also. Like I'll give an example, they get worked up over things that to us is not big deal. To me, it's not big deal. But to them, it's because that danger is real to them. Maybe it's more relevant in their time. They care more about it. Like for instance, when I drop my kid off in the morning, my father-in-law also concerned about me having someone to accompany me up the lift. In case something happens to me, I'm like, dude, the void deck is empty. Like, there's nobody there. Why, you know, so to me, this is like, why? Why is this such a big deal, right? It's the same thing that he's like, why is this photo thing such a big deal? But to them, somebody just walking into the lift and maybe robbing you or something, it's a real thing to them. I think it's also the sense of what is dangerous to them, what feels realer to them, and that is a relevance thing because they never had their own interaction with AI, so maybe to them it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Like how dangerous is it? You know?
in terms of caregiving, family support, in some ways they had more support, in some ways they had less support. So obviously, like things like letting your kid climb the tree or hang out with the neighbor's kids, the way that they see this entire matter would, or like, oh, is it okay if my kid go on a play date with the neighbor's kids? You know, it's very different. I feel like they see it very differently. Back then, they had to work, and I would say in some ways it was maybe more family friendly in that sense. So it's absolutely fine if they let their kid go down and climb some tree together with the neighbor's kids. But now it's like, do we really want to do that? Is it safe for us to do that? So the kind of support or lack of support that we have in this generation is just very different. So I think that to some extent, there's definitely going to be some tension there because of that perception of what is community, what is support, what is dangerous or not dangerous.
Yeah.
It's just very different.
Yeah. And I think things that I can imagine our parents' generation might find that, oh, you're being so fussy and so uptight. Things like screens or sugar. You know, they'll be like, what's the big deal? Just give a 1-year-old chocolate. Just give a 8-month-old chocolate. Like,
And have it anyway. Just
give them. Or like screens, good. What? They're seated down very quietly. Let them watch all the screens.
Oh
That's
my
very
God,
good.
the
That's very
number
good.
of times they have offered my kid ice cream, I'm like,
My parents will say, once you grow a bit older, I'm going to bring you to KFC, I'm going to bring you to McDonald's, eat fries, eat burgers, eat sweets and everything. You know, like, no, not so soon, not so soon. Then
Yeah.
you start thinking, remember last time you also eat like that, what?
Yeah, exactly.
This thing always happens.
Exactly, and like sugar and TV, I mean, has existed since our time. So
Yeah.
like, what's the big deal? Like, there's no. But again, it's about how much we now understand, right? Like how bad how bad screens can be, how addictive it can be. We now have more knowledge about all these things that they don't. But I think it's a bit difficult to try and explain to them and them like kind of getting it. Personally, what I've done is I've sent like articles to my parents. It's a long process that I have to stick to it and be like adamant.
Even harder when they're illiterate.
Yeah, the government saying this, who are PM says this. Then what makes it even harder is when you're trying to educate the parents about these kind of things, right?
Yeah.
And then you're gonna have every other person that is of their same age,
Yeah.
or of our age without children, and will say it's okay one lah.
Yeah, like I understand also, we shouldn't be like so rough in our speech to our parents and like respecting elderly. I understand that.
But you repeat 10 times.
But sometimes the repetition makes it hard to give grace. So you understand their age and all it's a lot for them to plow through mentally, all the hoops that they need to jump to kind of understand where we are.
Once or twice, it just shows that you cannot remember. But if you repeat 10 times, it just shows that you don't want to remember.
You like don't really care about what we care about. So
That's why it's hard on us now.
let's talk a bit about your parents. How does the way your parents raise you compare to the sandwich pressure you feel now? Do you think they had it easier?
Maybe I can start on this one because when I look at my parents, right,
Yeah.
I don't think they have it easier, but they probably have a bigger kampong of people, so there's a bit of give and take lah. When you need to have your own time, you can take your own time. But today, we don't really have that much because we are staying away from our parents.
Yeah.
Our neighbors may not be as friendly as how the last time those guys are.
Yeah.
So whether or not they have it easier, to be honest, I think it is slightly easier. But I think the biggest difference between the old generation and us is that they choose to avoid more than anything.
Yeah.
So if they find that, there's going to have this thing that will happen. I foresee this kind of thing may happen. I will just purposely not do it so that it doesn't happen. But in our day and age, we prefer to expose our kids to this kind of thing so they learn that there is this danger.
Yeah.
So you know that eventually if you are going to run blind and aimlessly, you're going to hit the wall. So we just let them to run, let them knock, they will know it. But in our parents' era, they'll just say, hey, don't do it.
Yeah.
You do it, you're going to hit the wall.
Yeah.
The moment you start running, they're just going to hug you and put you one side. So I think they don't have it easier, but they prefer to take the easier way out, which is also why it's translating now to grandparents being too protective of our child, where every little bit of things, they're going to think, hey, fall no, okay or not, pain, go see doctor or not, this kind of emergency kind of questions, and then parents are just be like, it's okay lah, let them fall a bit more.
Yeah.
So they don't have it, again, they don't have it easier, but the execution and the idea of bringing up a child is more on the easier way out.
I agree with you with that on the easier way out thing. I feel like even when it comes to the emotional aspects of parenting, it's coming from a place of convenience. Like, don't cry, Why don't cry? Because it's inconvenient for them.
Like, the sound very loud.
Can you stop it? Can you please stop it?
Yeah.
I think because they didn't have the resources to navigate or articulate their own emotion. They don't have the emotional intelligence to do so, right? So it's very uncomfortable for them to navigate the emotional world of a child. So I think that taking the easier way out aspects, at least for me, the way I see it translates a lot to they don't really know how to deal with emotions, with big emotions.
Difficult emotions.
It's all passed down from the first gen.
Yes.
Yeah, so I feel like their emotional literacy, the language, the skills, emotional regulation, they don't have that. But it's not like focused on, it's not talked about. So it's not even a thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that they ignored it. Like, it wasn't even in their language.
Yeah, they can't, they can't process that feelings.
Correct. So it's more of, like you said, avoiding things and with the assumption that over time you
you just pass, it's fine.
And all that. But I mean, it's obviously not true. Like, now we
don't carry the burden today. So we went for counselling. I myself went for counselling also, just to understand how this kind of thing works. There was once when I was talking to my parents about this kind of stuff, and then, hey, it's a bit uncomfortable, the way you want to treat my child and how you treat me. There's a big gap in understanding. Something hit me was when my parents, or my mother specifically, told me, just let it go lah. It's okay one lah. Let it go. So it turns out that she has been bottling all this because her parents weren't there for her to understand this kind of thing. She don't know how to translate it to the kids.
Yeah.
the husband, aka my dad, has been out there working.
Yeah.
He has his own set of stress.
Yeah.
So when they communicate, it's just stress over stress over stress. So they might as well don't talk about it and let it be. And it becomes a bit.
Fester,
I think that if you really let it go, you let it go. You never talk about it ever again, But no, like, a lot of times, it's not letting it go. You're just bottling it up because it's easier to avoid confrontation, right? And then when you avoid confrontation, actually, you are the one that blows up.
Yeah, because it's just pressure cooking, right?
Yeah. One needs to give it roll.
To burst. Yeah, it's just waiting. That's it.
Yeah.
So I guess in some ways, they have it like easy. Maybe things are simpler, right? There isn't all this flooding of information about how you should parent, and these are the ways to ensure you're raising a healthy kid, which is a different kind of pressure altogether, which I think we all understand. So in some ways, things are simpler, but some things are just kind of like shelved. And then the repercussions are all like...
If you pick up a carpet, you're going to see a lot of things under there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the playbook for them is easier. Like, you do this, and I do that, and then life is
You
like
work
that.
hard, you get a good job, you study hard, like it's a very...
Structured kind of way to it. Yeah.
Whereas now, I mean, you can study the hardest and you can still be retrenched.
Yeah, you have... With awareness, I think, comes a lot of questioning and a lot of decision making.
Yeah.
There's a lot of decision making that you need to make. How much screen do I let my child have? But then I need to get the household done.
Yeah.
So do I let them watch the screen now, or do I give them a limit to the screen, or no screens whatsoever? Even for me, things as simple as meal time. My child hates the beat. But the thing is, I need to make it a routine. Otherwise, it's going to descend into chaos.
Yeah, because then it's like no beat forever.
So where is my line? Do I draw the line? Do I not draw the line? Do I deal with screens every meal? What am I going to do? So it's like so much decision making to make. Last time is, let's not talk. We just use Mr. King.
Yeah.
So you want to eat or you don't want to eat? If it's as simple as that.
Yes or no?
Yeah, but it's true what you said. Last time it's a matter of convenience for adults as opposed to understanding from the perspective of the child.
Yeah.
Like you do things to make sure that the parents aren't irritated. The parents don't have to clean up so much. The parents don't have to do. Like it was always the lens of what's convenient for the parents. Yeah. Whereas now we are trying to understand the children's perspective, child development, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, all of that. Not to villainize our parents. But yeah, very, very different.
But I think I still want to acknowledge our parents didn't have it easy also.
Yeah, it wasn't a walk in the park. Yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't understand. So yeah, if they could have had a bit more education, I mean, definitely it was a challenge back then.
Yeah.
And everything that they do or they learn is always mimicking from the parents, which is our grandparents. So when they move from kampong to HDB, there's a lot of corruption, too much disruptions that they can't have that time to understand what upbringing of a child is like. I still want to acknowledge the parents out there that they tried their best.
How do we bridge this with grandparents while being as respectful as we can, but also making clear what are our boundaries? But I don't know, I find that the thing with boundaries is that as long as you have some form of boundaries, it can really be taken the wrong way by other people. How do you think we can navigate this?
Yeah, so this is something that we figured, and then we thought, why not just be upfront with it? People can be understanding. If they're not understanding, then we just set the boundaries and let them know. If every time we come over, there's going to be TV, and then probably I will not bring my kid anymore. Yeah, so being vocal will help a lot in this kind of...
Yeah, no, I understand it's about being upfront, but I'm just thinking beyond just the boundaries that we have for our kids because of the way we want to parent them, we don't want to do that at the expense of like social relationships also. You know what I mean?
I think it's about coexisting with other parents. I think that is where the challenge is. For me personally, I've been to other friends' houses and they have older kids or older toddlers, right? And some of them do have controlled screen time for their kids. And then is it my place to tell them, let's not watch TV? I mean, see, while I am managing my kid and my kid's temperament and my kid's meltdowns, they are managing their kid and their kids' temperaments and meltdowns too, right? So, for example, if their kid has screen time during meals, do I say no screen? You know what I mean? So I think it's not fair to them also. Obviously, I have my own different parenting philosophy. So to me, it's about sustainability. You can try to avoid, but you cannot totally avoid forever. So I think it's also teaching your kid eventually about context. Like, oh, why is it so and so can have this and I cannot? Or why is it that there's screens outside and not at home? And then we show them about context, about usage. As opposed to saying like just putting out a flat no, and then eventually they will find a way and means to get their hands on it, right? So like they need to learn how to navigate a world that is like that.
and it's complex, and obviously, yeah. So I'm getting this a lot in my daughter right now. She's almost 4. She thought about sweets or whatever, and I'll always be like, well, different families have different rules. Maybe your friend's mother is okay with that, but I'm not okay with you doing that. So your friend can do it, but you can't do it, and that's okay. Your friend is living with different rules, different household. So I try and get her to understand that, which is quite tricky because right now they're of the age of comparing, like, oh, I want to do my hairstyle like my friend, like something as simple and innocent as a hairstyle. They start to compare and they notice. So girls apparently come into this idea of identity and image sooner than boys. So the comparing of things and who has what, who doesn't have, and all that. Apparently girls pick it up a lot faster. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a solid point about teaching our kids eventually that the world is very varied and how we can just coexist without cutting ties so extremely, right? Yeah. But it's still hard. Sometimes it's hard to see out of your own like bubble because you just want to hold on to how you are parenting, and it feels like, wow, I put in all this work to do this already, and sometimes it feels like this one thing can make it all crash, but it's not true lah. Like one thing is not gonna ruin everything.
But then everything should.
Incident.
Okay, I wouldn't use should, but everything most likely or could always start with an acknowledgement. Like, I acknowledge that you want to have this kind of hairstyle similar with your friends, but it doesn't mean that you always get it your way. Acknowledgement is so important because that's the way we are. Even for ourselves.
Yeah.
We know that our parents never acknowledge our feelings.
Yeah. This one we see and heard first, right?
Yeah.
And then
So
later on.
we needed this kind of acknowledgement to know that, okay, so actually I have a choice. Somebody actually listened to me and my voice is not invisible.
Yeah.
So having that said, things will get, how do I put it? The fellow will listen more. They won't reject you so much lah. They won't feel like, hey, everything you say only, then what am I?
Yeah. So a bit of background context is that I, at one point, also used to work as a hair and makeup artist. There was a period where I worked with a lot of children. So ranging from older toddlers.
Performances?
Yes, performances. So ranging from older toddlers to primary school kids. Agency is so important to them and how they feel about themselves. If there's options and they just say make them look presentable, I always ask the girls, what do you want to do with your hair? And it'll be very interesting the answers that you get. Sometimes they just don't want ponytail. Not comfortable. I don't feel pretty in ponytail. The thing is, they don't feel good, and then it translates onto the screen. I realized that these things actually matter a lot to them. It really made me realize for children, that sense of identity, right? It matters a lot to them. And when you respect how they feel, they tend to want to work with you a lot better. One of my students asked me recently, what's my discipline philosophy? And I said it's a very nuanced topic because it also depends on temperament. But it always has to come from a place of mutual respect, because I've had a lot of unfortunate encounters with really terrible educators when I was growing up.
What have I?
Fair share.
I mean, in my own childhood experience, I am somebody that really values autonomy so much. In fact, the level of value I place on autonomy is so high that I think that is the reason why my mental health is suffering so much as a mother right now. But I'm not doing well. I'm not doing well at all. But yeah, like I was telling a friend that for me, motherhood feels like somebody chopped my legs off. It's really that bad. So every day I feel crippled. Because of that, I think that's why I have so much. When I deal with my interactions with younger people, I place so much emphasis on respect, mutual respect. So I tell them that I respect you, you got to respect me too. That's the only time they will see me pissed off, is when like they lose that mutual respect for themselves, their classmates, and for me.
Yeah, I think what you said about really listening and respecting the children, I love that philosophy. Sometimes maybe, I don't know if it's an Asian thing or a generational thing where adults are always right. Adults never have to apologize, or adults can do no wrong. And then all it takes is for the kid to like be 10, 11 years old and they realize what's up and they know what's happening.
I think the problem is that a lot of people in that generation don't realize that they are little people. They just see them as extensions of themselves. So it's like a little mini me pet project that you must accomplish all the things I filled in.
If I can't fulfill, somebody has to fulfill for me.
Yes, correct.
Because the extension
And you must take care of me when I go.
Yeah, that was really the old mindset, right?
Yeah.
But today we're like, nah, I just have you, not for you to take care of me. Anyway.
I have you to love you, to take care of you. And please be a responsible, decent human being.
Yeah, I have existential crisis about myself already. Now that I have a little creature.
Thanks too.
In some ways, the world is not getting better. I saw something along the lines of the major rivers are no longer like running, like joining the ocean, which
Oh
means
my God.
the amount of water that is
Reaches the ocean, yeah, is decreasing.
is decreasing. So I was like, oh my God, like
Global warming, It's hard to fathom what our kids' future would even look like, even be like. I mean, most of their jobs that they will do then probably don't even exist now.
Yes.
So it's really hard to. But that being said, I have to be hopeful. So I am hopeful that in this day and age where maybe on the edge of like too much information, but there is a lot of information out there in terms of how to equip yourself with tools and skills to live in a world like that. So I am hopeful that will be sufficient, and I'm hopeful that as a parent I will also keep trying.
what scares me a lot is that because I teach teens, right? So they have a very fatalistic view because they were fed into a narrative that you can be anything you wanted. And I'm sure as mothers, as parents, that's what we were fed also, right? Which is why we are struggling, right? They were fed this narrative, and then now they are kind of thinking, oh my God, there's so much happening out there and I'm totally helpless and I'm just stuck. I also don't blame them for having a very fatalistic view of the world and just losing all motivation entirely. But that being said, also as a parent, I feel like one of the reasons why millennials struggle so much is because we realize that if we want our child to navigate this very complex and nuanced world that now is, it's a very heavy responsibility to make it happen.
Yeah.
It's on us to make it happen. It's on us to make sure our kid doesn't
Are well equipped.
yeah, like they're well equipped and
Emotionally healthy.
in therapy because of you know, and therefore that burden is very heavy, and it's something that I guess frustrates us because our parents sometimes may not get it.
Yeah.
They just think as long as they grow up and they work a 9-to-5 job, they're absolutely fine.
Yeah. No, they don't have like that. That's a very low.
That's a very low bar. Like everyone has a degree now. So I'm sure and then finding a job in very developed countries, people are going to top universities and graduating without jobs. They are fighting for just a non-paid internship. So where's your bar?
Exactly. So which is why I mean, like last time, if you're a diploma holder, wow, set up for
you're there already.
Yeah. But now it's exactly what you said. You throw a stone, you hit someone with like some qualification.
99% degree.
And in many ways also last time it's a bit more straightforward. There's a recipe, you do this, you get this. So they see the effort results equation very strongly. But now if it doesn't really apply like that, that's a different type of skill set to me, I feel, to have in being hopeful and positive in spite of everything. So I'm not saying ignore all the bad things happening around the world. You are aware of it, but how do you live a life that's authentic and true to you? Trying to be a good person human being and all other kind of works, right?
I think it's a very big topic. This is another big topic.
Yeah, so like the other day, right, my kid has passed one, and then she was just having a moment with dinner. And me that was parented of 2 tight slaps below, my hand was internally vibrating. I know. But like the hand never moved from me. I shoved it under my ass and let it stay there.
Yeah, not sometimes it takes a physical effort to like,
because the hand is like, whoa. Yeah, like child, my mother would have Shaolin slapped me to the next, my next reincarnated life cycle already, you know. Like,
is that right?
Very expressive, like description.
Me that is raised on 2 tight slaps philosophy, I'm just like, wrong. Like, you know, I know
What is regulation?
it's so hard. Like, I'm literally losing it. Whenever I was not being her mother, I was just crying all the time. You know, one day, I remember I was crying when I was alone with her, and I felt so guilty. I was like, oh my God, is my child going to... Because, you know, like, sometimes you read about this, like, don't let your children who are too young to understand certain nuances be the receptacle or have to deal with your emotions and help you regulate yourself. Wow, and I felt so bad. I was like, oh my God, my child witnesses me crying, am I traumatized? Overloading my emotional state on her. There's one school of thought that says you have to be real in front of your kids also.
Yeah.
So they model after you, and if you're just always swallowing, that's what they model, right? But at the same time, it's like, what if I
how much
do it, and then now my kid feels like this sense of burden to like help mommy feel better. I was like, oh my God, motherhood. So
I also think it's one of the most
balance, like a very fine line.
yeah, very fine.
By being honest that you also have like bad days and all that, but not it being too much where it's suddenly
like you
something
parentify your child.
Yeah, it's suddenly on her shoulders that she has to tank all the mother's emotional needs. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's
really
really
hard.
so hard. I feel like I'm talking about parenting this inner child. Like I need
you
the
yourself
LP.
first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we don't grow up in a sense where you get all this kind of TLC.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just talking to your parents in a very loud voice.
Yeah.
But when that child is there, you can't talk to your parents like that across the room because they're
it's hard to
gonna
change
you.
yourself. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, and you know the line, the whole like kids don't follow what you say, but they follow what you
Actions,
do.
yes.
Yeah, so I think that's very hard as well. Like they're always watching, and that's like, oh,
I think that's why it's so heavy on millennials. That was part
being aware also, right? All this awareness and information means that the pressure is mounted as well.
Yes. The funny thing is that was actually why I didn't want to have kids. I felt that this was so heavy. When I told my husband that when we decided to have kids, he was less concerned about me being a good mother than I was more concerned about being a good mother. And I asked him why. He said, because you have no chill. So if you have a kid, right, you definitely be so responsible. I never have to work.
Fair point. I totally understand that perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing is, I didn't want to have kids because I knew if I had kids, right, I would be like torturing myself like this. So a lot of people tell me, actually, you take it easy. It won't be so bad. I said, but I cannot take it easy.
So if everything also you just take it easy.
Then there's no rules, no boundaries, no nothing already.
I don't think they mean it that way also. But I think, some people are just very, what do you call that? Like easygoing temperament. Oh, this happened in my life, but it's okay. Okay, Sarah. I'm a very highly emotionally sensitive. I think that's why I struggle a lot with Matrescence, like coming to terms with this transition, thinking about childhood, thinking about how children feel, even like just having this conversation, my eyes are watering. So it's like I ponder constantly over like always an existential crisis every other day. So I think that's why, at least on a personal level, I struggle a lot more with Matrescence as compared to somebody that's very happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. A close friend of mine, she doesn't have children, but this is what she told me. She said having kids now in this day and age is a crazy thing to do. You're not even talking about cost of living or whatever. And her perspective is just the pressure of raising kids. Yeah, the mindset that goes behind it, the effort that parents now put into it, exposing all sorts of things. It's not enough to just be strong academically. You need to be emotionally resilient. And so the pressure just mounts on the parents too, right? Like we said earlier. So she finds it a crazy thing to do, to be a parent.
I mean, a responsible
because of
person will go through these situations.
But someone who doesn't care, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? The minute, there's that line also, the minute you are thinking a lot about what it means and what it is to parent, you're already a good parent, because someone who just doesn't care, it won't even cross their
I mean, if you think about it, the older generation, why were they okay having so many kids? Because they really didn't bother whether, at the most, they just tell the eldest child, hey, you go parent.
The
eldest kid becomes the younger.
Which I think is a very unhealthy dynamic. But to them, is having 7 is not a problem because like they will figure themselves out. But for us, we think deeply about making sure that these kids' needs are met not just physically but emotionally. There's this joke that I heard, I was like, I found it so funny and so relatable. They said that now plants are the new kids. No, plants are the new pets. Plants are the new pets. Pets are the new kids. And kids are exotic animals. I just pretty orange.
Oh my god. Okay, if you don't think that we're all the new parents, okay, and we are all laughing. We like to say
our kids became like exotic animals. So
on the point where you said previously our parents, if they have like 7 kids or whatever, they don't bat an eye. I have to say I do feel different when I have 2 kids versus when I have 1.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can't clone myself. So something's really got to give, and then I will really have to let go on something, because if not, there's no way we can get through a day. Like, I can't clone myself into 2, so I can't give like 100% attention to both. So something's got to give, and then you just kind of, I think, quite subconsciously prioritize what are the key needs of both, and then the others you just kind of have to like let it settle and sort itself out.
Can you give an example? Because I think for me and Jason, we have 1 kid.
Yeah. Now we only have 1, so it's a bit difficult to us to comprehend.
For example, sleep. Okay, let's just use sleep as an example. I used to really have a hard time with my daughter sleeping, not just her sleeping needs, but also I was very anal and particular about it. I'm like, no, she must nap. Like, I do all it takes to make sure she naps, and then I would do everything it takes, because in my head it was just like, she just must nap. Like, that's the goal. Whatever it takes. Even if it takes me 2 hours, even if it takes me 3 hours to nap her down for 1 hour. Now, after I have 2 kids, it's just like, okay, if you really don't want to sleep, but this is what's going to happen. I'll tell her, then we can't go playground because you'll be tired in the evening, and then you won't be very safe in the playground either. So if you don't rest, this is what's going to happen. Then we push up dinner. Like, it's a bit more fluid rather than when I just had 1, I was a bit more like A, B, B, C, C, like really anal about stuff. So that's what I noticed. And I think it's also about like understanding that I really can't control a lot of things. There's a lot of things beyond my control. I can have them, and this is like a routine of what we do. But at the end of the day, a lot of things are beyond my control, and that sort of helps to ease my mind a bit. It's like, okay, I'll give you an example.
Sustain with
Yeah. If you have to make 100 decisions versus if you have to make 50 decisions, you'll just half your load. So it's kind of like that. Yeah. Because you're forced to like, I can't actually make 2 kids, suddenly I need to make 100 decisions a day. Like, I can't do that. I still only have capacity for 50 decisions. So how do I like get to that? Yeah. So I feel like having 2 kids has made me a better parent. Yeah. I don't think it's a loosening of standards. I won't say that because I'm still ensuring that outdoor time is important to me.
But
Outdoor
basically
time.
fundamental values and
Yeah, it's still there.
else you just shave it down now.
Yeah. Because it's about, like decision fatigue also lah. Yeah, and the amount of like stress that you put on yourself. Yeah. So we've covered a lot of things. Now we'll go on to the tension regarding millennial parents. Are we overlooked or are we entitled?
Yeah, to be fair, I don't like it when people say, hey, you're entitled. It's just a voice. I'm voicing out not just because I'm not asking you for the sky. Okay? Some things to us is more basic needs and all this kind of thing. It's not entitled. It's just for something that helps not just ourselves, but the community and everybody else that require this help.
Are you talking about like public transport?
Public transport is one thing. Then there's other things like streamlining of information because of paralysis, where we say, hey, there's too much information online. Then people are going to start saying, hey, you're not entitled. Last time I don't even have information, Now for information, you complain. There's always this kind of narrative that changes from a very neutral standpoint. Something that says, hey, you ask for so much for what? Just do what you need to do. People helping you already still want to complain. So
How about us having children and helping the Singapore population also?
Well, speaking of that, when
Growing the country.
someone commented about that on my post, right? Public transport. And then somebody else actually replied and said, so if the government asks you to eat shit, you will eat also lah. I think all I can say is that the mentality of people towards the idea of children now is that children are inconvenience. And actually, we are entitled to be child-free, but we are not entitled to a child-free society or world. I mean, I was on the other side of the fence in the past. I think because of my own personal experiences and not wanting kids, I had a very strong stance on children being a nuisance at one point. I think only after I really began to read up more on child pedagogy and child psychology and child development, and also becoming a parent myself and understanding the nuances of parenting, that it changed my mind. It changed the way I see child development and discipline.
Yeah, but there's so many things to it, right? Like, yes, there's the crowd that don't want kids. So their view is always, absolute nuisance. But what about the views of elderly, for example, who have had kids before? It's like they short the memory, they forgot what it's like to have children, how messy they can be, how loud they can be. Or they're just of the styles. Last time my kids were very obedient, they were very good. Not like your children, very loud.
And here's the thing, they see
very black and white
as an extension of themselves, right? And if they struggle with the nuances of child development because they themselves had a stunted child developmental process, right?
With their own kids, then that's gonna trickle to.
They will project that on society, right? Like, oh, these kids are out of hand. Like, even for me, right, 2 tight slaps kind of family environment. If I see a child that's unruly and I don't understand childhood development, right, I would just think that, why are you behaving like this? Just take out the kid now, right? I mean, this is very interesting. That my teenager asked me this question: how would you discipline your child? Would you cane your child? And I really had no answer for that, because I said, look, my child is not even at an age appropriate. Like, it's not even age appropriate to even understand cause and effect and effect in that manner, right? I said, so I gave him an example. I said, if let's say child puts hand in socket, that's dangerous, and then I cane. To a child, right, at that age, they don't understand that it's because put hand in socket equals cane, They just think, oh, I got cane because I touch. In that case, that discipline is not even meeting the objective, right? So why would you do that? So I said that this kind of thing only comes when you actually educate yourself and you realize it's very nuanced, and how children think it's very different from how we perceive it.
Yeah, the cane was just because the parent didn't like it and then the cane.
They thought that it's the way
it's like to stroke the ego. No, it's like, I feel angry, I feel annoyed. This is what I do when I feel angry and annoyed as a parent,
I still am a believer of you spare the rod, you spoil the child. I do. Obviously not at this age because fella don't understand anything. But when you are older and you can comprehend messages and knowing about feelings, then yes, but it's not gonna be how my era took it like. It's not gonna be every day 3 meals a day, you get cane kind of thing. But it's gonna be only when necessary, like absolute necessary. Then you will know that there is this thing called discipline.
I think it's also interesting. Like I remember reading, when you discipline your kid, don't do it out of like anger or emotion.
Yes.
So after you cool down or whatever, then you discipline your kid. So back to like entitlement and overload. Like in some sense, okay, I'm thinking of what I've read online also about how teachers have it really hard now, because not only is like MOE being tough and the school being tough, but they're also being pushed by parents as well. So they are the sandwich teacher generation where the parents are like more fussy, quote unquote, like, oh, you can't do this to my kid, you can't scold my kid. Whereas last time the parents would be like, yeah, good, you scold my kid, like,
more, help me discipline the kid.
So now we've got parents like over parenting and wanting all the nitty gritty details from the teachers directly, whereas last time like it's down to the kid, like us, relaying the information to parents. So I can kind of understand why people view parents nowadays as entitled, because we want more things.
I think when the baseline is low, everything else that we ask for looks like something that is an entitlement.
But to be fair, also there are a lot of bad hats that spoil a lot lah. Like, what are the parents really asking for? Are they really asking for? So what I see,
I mean, they can't expect teachers to parent. You know
what
what
I see is they are outsourcing emotional labor to the teachers,
Mm.
but then expecting emotional labor type results, meaning that if you don't invest emotionally in your child, you cannot expect them to do well physically in every other aspect of their life, but you're expecting the results out of seeds that are not even planted. So you're pushing the teachers in a direction saying that why my child don't behave well, why they don't do well in their studies. But the thing is, you invest
where
in
is your
child.
accountability at home?
Yeah, where is your accountability? So I can understand the.
I mean, you're a teacher as well, so
Correct.
you know.
So I can understand the frustration. And to me, that is entitlement, because if you didn't invest, it's like you never put money in the bank, you expect the bank to give you money back. That is entitlement. I'm not saying, see, so here's a nuance, a reality of things is that entitlement is a personality trait. It doesn't just stop at non-parents. Parents can be entitled because entitled people can choose to have children.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the issue is that I realize a lot of people may not have the ability, or maybe they don't want to have the ability to see that a lot of challenges and topics are nuanced. Social topics are nuanced
100%.
in that sense. So they lump, they just, okay, when a parent makes a request, they are entitled. But the thing is, what is
It's
the
more than that. Yeah.
Are they making the request for a valid reason? When looking at, okay, we need, example, when I did the video on strollers, right? I'm looking at things on a general whole, like, can we be more civic minded as a society? Because, example, safety will apply not just to parents, it applies to the elderly, it applies to children, right?
Yeah.
But then a person that is not nuanced in the way that they think, they don't think about context and they don't think about where this is coming from, they'll just say, oh, this is an entitled parent making an entitled request.
Yeah, I think it's also down to like patterns. Like, let's say if you're a teacher, if it's always this kid's parents that's coming out, you see a pattern already.
Yeah.
And also the type of request that the parent is making. Is it reasonable? Is it fair? What's the context behind it? Like, there's so many things to it.
Correct.
Yeah, you can't just throw like one word like that. And yeah, I'm reflecting on myself, like when I had one kid and I had two kids. When I had one kid, it was me still also figuring out how I want to like parent, right? Like I haven't found like a...
Your footing is not there.
Yeah, I haven't found my footing yet when my daughter was really young. Now when I do, because there's the sibling dynamics in the mix as well, like it's not just all about her. So it's about like her and her sibling, but by extension, the fundamental message is she's receiving is that it's not all about her. And I think that's important as well. Like for kids to understand, it's not just about you, what you want, what you need, what toys you have, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's about like what are the other, what's going on outside in the social setting.
Yeah.
Like, is your friend upset about something? You should be concerned if your friend's upset. If your friends are fighting and hurting each other, you should also be concerned. All these kind of things. So it's about understanding that the world is so much bigger than you. So once you have that, you kind of never be entitled because you're not the center of the universe.
It's like you're sharing.
Yeah.
I feel
Sharing
like
the
the
world.
hallmark of civic mindedness, right, or civic consciousness, right? And sometimes the irony is the person who is calling that requester or that parent entitled. They're actually entitled also.
Those are the better ones.
Yeah, you feel entitled to the parents not making the request because it inconveniences you, correct?
Yeah.
Until you become a parent, then suddenly it becomes your problem also. You're up in arms about it. So you see, like, who is really the person that complain that we are entitled it's not as equally entitled. It's a podcast. You wouldn't think the person is entitled if you are not entitled yourself. Yeah. So
Do you think it's a camp? Like all parents are kind of one camp,
no lah.
feeling like overlooked in society?
I think it depends on how, again, it's a temperament thing. I think some people just ponder deeper about certain issues. Like people ask me, why do you volunteer? Why are you so strong in your advocacy views? You don't have to run yourself ragged caring about these things. And some people are really very easygoing. They're absolutely fine with whatever that's happening.
Just stick to their lane and just like their own nucleus and
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that also if they are really genuinely happy, right? And some people just see more, feel more, hear more. So I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. I mean, look, put it this way. I remember seeing some comments saying, oh, you compare to other countries, right? We are very good. I know we're very good, but if we continue to feel that way, then we might
we won't progress.
We all of us going to stay in attack parts. I mean, we need different sorts of people.
Yeah.
Different push, different motivation.
Yeah, for society to evolve.
Progress,
and change. So are we right or are we wrong? I don't think there's... I always like to say it's very nuanced. I think because I deal with people all the time. So I feel like there's really no black and white.
Yeah, but I think when people fail to understand that it's not just black and white, I think that's where it's a problem also. Because if you keep thinking that it's A or B, and you don't want to understand or realize that there's a lot more in between there, in between the A and B, that makes it difficult to communicate. Because then, to me, it's like, should I even waste my breath trying to explain to you if you're not even going to see it? Like, you can't talk sense to a wall. If people are being very walled, A, B, binary, then you can't get anywhere. The aim of a conversation is always to bridge two people, like to bridge the people in that conversation and bring them closer to a middle point. They don't have to fully understand each other, but they got to be like a bit closer to understanding the other perspective. So if you can't do that with other people, then that's why it gets problematic. I don't know whether it's the stresses of the country, rising cost of living or whatever. There tends to be I feel I don't have any statistics behind this. A lot of people that tend to be a bit more walled, a bit more A-B, black and white. So then it's harder to...
I think it's a combination of the education system and also it's a very... I think was it you that posted that story on efficiency? That Singapore has become so efficient that, economically as a country, that helps to make sure that we don't crash and burn, right? But that also doesn't leave space for different people or people with who are more vulnerable, who are slower, to be able to advocate for themselves because everything is fast. If you are slow, you're left right. I think that is also, and in this kind of pressure cooker environment, the reality is everybody is short-tempered.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't have the capacity to be more
gracious.
Open, more gracious,
So it's like everyone just ends up having to be this every man for himself.
And everyone's like someone else's punching bag, essentially.
Yeah. I don't owe you anything.
I don't owe you anything.
It's very annoying. My husband and I were having this conversation that we were saying that we are going to teach our child to be kind, yes, but also to be very street smart. Because if you're just kind, you're going to get eaten alive. Yeah, just very simple things like imagine you're at the coffee shop and the person see like your face very kind, cut your queue. So are you going to be kind or are you going to scold the person, right? So sometimes it's like you don't want to do that, but you have to be firm because there are people like that, and I feel like it's in a society like that, sometimes it's no choice. You have to appear unkind because there are people
tougher. If not, people just take advantage.
But also because of that, on the flip side, that also means that on the surface, people are just unkinder to each other.
Yeah, essentially, because the standard of like,
ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody has time for grace. Nobody has time for courtesy. It's just like,
I mean, just look at other countries where people are more civic-minded. The pace of life is slower.
Yeah.
But then, of course, there's some give and take. Like economically, they may not be like
that's true. Yeah, we live in Singapore, so obviously we'll take on all the countries, the nation's identities and whatever, it will seep through it in some shape or form.
I feel like community outreach is so important. It's quite unrealistic to expect community if you don't do something about it.
Yes.
Even you see the stroller and bus and public transport thing, right? I thought very deeply about this because I know on one hand, as much as I would love to ask for, let's say, let's lower the rest, let's make it a standard thing for all strollers. Like, is it realistic? If we look at it on a general level, and we're catering to different walks of life, is it realistic really to make that request even? But are there other ways? So there's always a give and take. You can't expect to be, on one hand, you're trying to like make sure Singapore doesn't sink as a nation with no resources but people. But then on the other hand, also like we need people.
Yeah.
Because people are oh my
no
god.
resources.
It's so complicated.
Like, so you need babies. Like you need babies to be born.
But even I myself, to some extent, I feel like Singapore is not the most conducive place to have children.
No, it's not. Like the safety part, yes, for sure.
But
I mean, now also actually, you know, the cook and the toddler and all that also not the most.
I mean, it's
But generally,
comparatively, it is
safety-wise, yeah, it is
safer.
safe.
But in terms of community and socially, I don't know. I don't really feel it's very conducive. In fact, I was just telling my husband the other day, and he was laughing at me and said, I'm going to tell my kid not to have a kid. He's like, dude, she's not even primary school.
I think parents, we think very far ahead. One kind of thing.
Yeah, but actually, your position also is very interesting. I don't know about you because, like, you know, she shared that she didn't want kids previously, so that's a very huge shift.
My wife didn't want kids
your wife
initially
wanted-
also.
okay.
So
But you were like open to it
I was
all
open
along.
to have or don't have. I mean, I'm someone that can adapt to things easily until I have a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was a 180 with no return, no refunds, no nothing.
No refunds, no nothing.
You have no
Yeah.
choice but to just
Lifetime
go ahead.
membership.
Yeah, it's lifetime membership. You don't even have to renew the subscription. Yeah. So yes, my wife didn't want to have kid because of upbringing. She don't know whether to become a good parent. Because having a kid is easy. But growing the kid is difficult. Raising one is difficult. Then we become parents. Then we felt actually it is up to us how we want to respond to our kid. Not react but respond. The way that we portray ourselves, the way we want them to understand us, or the way we want the surroundings or the environment to be controlled. We found that it's actually something that can be within reach, but there has to be something to do with the community, the society, the type of living that we are for parents, not just for the kid now, but for the parents. Because for myself, I'm lucky enough that I can work from home.
Yeah.
I have time to spend with my kid.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at how things are going back to office kind of policy, then dads out there are gonna have a lot of absentees, a lot of absence there that it can impact the child a lot.
Yeah, for sure. When my daughter was born, my husband was like 100% work from home for 2 years of
To be honest, it sucked.
And then when he started going back to office again, he feels the huge. Like my husband is like, wow, like I really miss her. I don't see her nearly as much as I used to previously. It's a huge difference there.
I used to have a car. So I can commute easily, go back home. Let's say I end work at 6 o'clock, 6:30 at home. I have some time to spend before putting Gazelle to sleep.
Yeah.
But now I sold my car. So when I reach home, my kid is about to sleep already.
Yeah.
So you don't get the interaction only until you are work from home. But when you work from home, you gotta go for meetings and that kind of thing. You gotta be on standby.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult for the dad. I mean, for the mom, yes, the same thing as long as you're a working mom, or even parents in general.
Yeah.
That you are mentally exhausted, but you want to be with your kid, but you don't want to transfer the exhaustion to the kid.
All the anxiety, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Of course, also when you are with your kid all the time, there's a different kind of exhaustion. Then you want to be aware, oh my god.
The moment you are away, then you start thinking,
I
I miss
think
my
really
kid.
finding what works for you is like, it's the hard one.
We need the society to be more accepting of all this kind of thing. Not in a way to accept that parents are not going through an easy time having a kid. So rather than saying that you chose to have a kid, maybe you gotta think about it in another way where we are tired, but we want to contribute to the country. Or this.
But their lens will be, if they're a parent, they'll say the same thing. They say, I'm also a parent, right? I also raise children, right? Yeah, exactly.
So if you're not,
that baggage.
not like you, is it?
Yeah.
So when we start looking at it, last time you like that, then now like that, man. Cannot be one what.
It was very interesting at my baby's first year birthday. So we did 2 celebrations, like one very small personal one with just my in-laws and the extended in-laws, right? And for the first time, I kind of had a sense of what a village was like. I just sat there, and for the first time, my mind is blank, and I'm using my phone.
Oh, nice, huh? To be
Look at the rest now.
Oh, so that is what having a village is like. I can see now why parents are so burnt out. Because we are really pouring so much, and sometimes maybe our parents or their in-laws are working, so they don't have the support there. And getting a helper doesn't, I mean, yes, a helper can physically.
It's not
that's another challenge, man.
It's not
I know, right? I
one
mean,
glove fits all solution.
Assuming you have a good helper, I don't want to talk about problematic helpers. So assuming you have a good one, they can only offload your work, your physical labor.
Housework,
But the mental
It's still not their kid.
emotional labor is
Yeah,
still
it's still not their kid. Raising like values and all that, they're not gonna. They'll do the operational stuff. Bathe, feed, keep alive, sleep.
Yeah.
To some extent, it's still helpful, but like, wow, it still doesn't take away the responsibility that you have, right? And on a policy level, for instance, how can the government build this community? Sounds easy, right? But really, it's not, right?
No, it's down to like behaviors and perspectives and how people view things. Like these are all the things that it's cumulative. It's a lot of work over a long
And
period
I have
of
a lot of
time.
ideas on a grassroots level, what I would like to do or programs I'd like to implement, but I'll deal with it when I'm not so like dead.
If you could change one cultural norm, not a policy, you're talking about policy, it's just a cultural norm to make life easier for parents, what would it be? I mean, you hinged on it earlier. You said about society being more accepting of parents and understanding that parents are tired.
I wish that could happen.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's gonna be people that are not parents and have no plans to be parents that will technically not really understand how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, cultural norm is all built up one lah. So it changes it evolves every generation.
Yeah.
It evolves every generation.
Yeah, we can only hope because we are raising our kids a certain way that when it's their time,
There's a time they're gonna face different things.
challenges. Yeah.
I think if you want to talk about cultural norm, right, people just need to be kinder. Lah.
Yeah.
See, like,
simple, right?
It's just that simple.
I had a very good experience on the bus recently, actually. This bus driver was very kind. I had mommy wrist already at that point, struggling. And actually, I didn't even say anything, but he was like, you wait. Then he carried the stroller up the bus for me. Then I alighted, right? He was like, hey, wait. So I was like, oh, what's going on? And then he stopped the bus, he came to the back and unlatched the stroller from the safety catch and he carried the stroller down the bus.
That's very nice.
That was very, very nice. I want to talk about it also because I feel like as much as people talk about their negative experiences
Yeah, we
online,
need to talk about the
we should talk about the positive experiences online because people like that need to be credited so that
More,
good
we see
culture
more of that.
Yeah.
perpetuate, right? I was very appreciative that he was so thoughtful to take the time to do that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind you don't have to be a parent, but just be understanding.
Just be nice.
Yeah.
Just be nice.
Yeah. So
Right lah.
yeah.
Now, when our kids it's their turn to be parents, what do you hope their parenting experience looks like? Do you think we are the generation that breaks all this
I would love
stuff?
it if they have their own set of rules. Because of our generation that is pushing for a multitude of things, we try to implement certain things. All these will translate into results and outcomes that they can enjoy,
Yeah.
where they will no longer have choice paralysis. They will no longer have so much information that is drowning them out instead of focusing on how to be a parent. Okay? I hope they will be able to find their own footing. It may not be the best choice, but it's the right choice at that moment.
I hope fundamentally that overall the state of society is better so that they can move on and progress to something even better. Like it will probably be at the cost of something. If it is at the cost of a little bit of economic progress, I think that's okay. If like at the end of it, you know, society is all the better for it. Everyone is kinder to each other, considers everybody's perspective more open-minded. I would be comfortable with sacrificing some economic progress for that. Yeah. If something has to give lah. Yeah.
I would say that for me it's very simple. You make your choices, I will just support you.
You want them to
I've
enjoy
always
the-
supported you as a parent, so I'll just do whatever I can to support you. Yeah, as simple as that.
Okay. Well, I think that's a nice way to end. Thank you so much, both of you,
Thank you.
for your
Thanks for
time,
inviting us.
taking the
Thanks for
time
inviting.
today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation.
That's good. Lighthearted. I like it.
But yes, thanks for having us.
Yes, no
Had a
problem. No
good time.
problem.
Yeah.